So another thing we talked about at the very beginning, security tends to be at odds with progress. A lot of times it doesn't do functions. So talk a little bit about how you explain the ROI of security to your customers.
Really good. Good question. I have one slide that's kind of like the go-to slide when I'm presenting from a sales perspective. It's an example of many different examples that we have, but a customer came to us in October of last year, and he said, I need to be IL5 fully compliant by December. And I just said, look, realistically, this is going to take a lot longer. So I said, let's start with basically, do you understand your environment? Do you know what you're using and not using, and what are the vulnerabilities, right? So the first thing they did is we profiled their cluster, and it came back as 3,582 CVEs, something like that. And so the guy said, all right, based on my calculations, this is going to take 6 engineers, probably 3 months, assuming there's no more new CVEs coming in, for these guys to go figure out every single CVE, patch it, and rebuild it. And just don't bring in any more CVEs. We'll catch up, right? And he said, I don't have that time, right? So then what we did is we profiled it, and we said, all right, based on the profile, here are the base images you're using. Here's the framework images you're using. Here are the third-party images you're using. Oh, and by the way, we can swap them out dynamically for you. And so we were able to swap those out dynamically. Went from 3,500 CVEs down to 500. Now he goes, well, my God, I did this in one build. It was, I think, 2 hours for his build. When his build was finished, he swapped out those base images. It went from 3,500 CVEs to 500. So he was like, holy tomoly, I'm there, like in a couple of hours. This is, instead of hiring 6 people or pulling 6 people off a line to do this. So there's your ROI. It's usually 2 to 3 months. But then the question was, why are there 500 CVEs? You know, you gave me pretty clean images. Shouldn't it be like in the teens? So when we go back and investigate, when you start with clean images, one of the tricks is removing all the packages. So you start smaller, so it's cleaner. But as a developer, you need to add those things. If it's a Python graphics language, for example, it's got 3,200 files. Do you need all 3,200? No, I only need those 200 files that I'm using. Great, you can use the other 3,000. So their application actually, after profiling and swapping out the base images, we then did our hardening process. The hardening process took it from 1.8 gigs down to 262 megs. Because all that other stuff was junk that wasn't critical for the mission. And that went from 500 CVEs down to, I think, 3 that were not patchable at that time. So this entire process took a week, what would have taken 6 engineers a couple months to do.